Under the gray sky of Chikat Thomas, a tourist named Zhang found himself caught up in chaos. A group of criminals appeared, spreading fear. Without hesitation, and somehow, Zhang suddenly changed. He chased after the criminals, his movements precise and deadly. The chase ended quickly. Most of the criminals were killed. Although his actions saved many people, Zhang's motives remain an unsolved mystery. His deadly actions immediately earned him the dangerous label, killing machine. The court handed down a heavy sentence on the basis of 10 counts of murder. After 6 years in confinement, a weary Zhang arrived at the airport, flanked by security guards. Amidst the crowd of security checks, he saw them, his wife and son. Their eyes met, filled with pent-up longing. For the sake of the sensitive transfer process, they pretended to be strangers. Inside the plane, Zhang immediately sat down in his seat, flanked by officers, among rows of silent passengers. In the noisy cabin, he was just a lonely figure forced to fly home. At the same time, the roar of engines broke the silence. A group of masked motorcyclists broke through the security perimeter. In a shocking invasion, they forced their way into the aircraft that Zhang had just boarded. The invasion instantly turned into a hijacking. Control of the aircraft was seized in a matter of seconds. Amidst the commotion, shots rang out. 2 police officers accompanying Zhang were shot down. Amidst the chaos centered on the other hostages, Zhang moved silently. As quick as lightning, he reached into the dead man's pocket and took the handcuff key. As soon as the plane took off, the hijacking began. With weapons drawn, they forced the pilot to activate the autopilot. The passengers were herded into one cabin, and one of the hijackers fixed his gaze on Zhang. Behind his calm demeanor, the iron handcuffs had been unlocked.
Hey, you! Show me your hands.
The purpose of the hijacking remains a mystery. At gunpoint, the flight attendant was forced to hand over the passenger manifest. The sudden inspection immediately revealed the criminals' focus. They were looking for an individual with a mole behind their ear. The identity of this person remains unknown. In the midst of the tense inspection, a passenger suddenly collapsed and fainted due to sheer hysteria. One of the hijackers immediately raised his weapon, ready to kill. However, the leader's voice cut through the tension. He forbade bloodshed. No one was to die before the target was found, he ordered.
Amidst
the crowd of hostages, Zhang's wife suddenly moved quickly. She approached the unconscious passenger, claiming to be a trained medical professional. Her swift action immediately attracted attention. A male passenger then joined in to help, followed by a flight attendant who had been given permission by the captain to provide assistance. While treating the victim, the male passenger whispered quickly. He was an undercover air police officer. He carried a pistol, hidden in the cabin toilet. However, the bullets were separate, secretly stored in the first aid kit in the luggage compartment. The emergency task then fell to the flight attendant. She had to retrieve the ammunition. As the flight attendant quietly carried the first aid kit suspected of containing ammunition, a hijacker suddenly ambushed her. Without further ado, the box was snatched and immediately forcibly inspected. The first aid kit was forcibly opened, but it only contained medicine. Fortunately, the flight attendant had a bad feeling and acted quickly, moving all the bullets to another location before they were inspected. At the same time, Mia, a female criminal, sneaked into the cargo hold and planted a time bomb set to explode in 2 hours. This action signaled her group's intention to blow up the plane once their search target was found. Back in the cabin, the criminals found their target, a man wearing glasses with a mole behind his ear. Revealed before the leader, this man was a computer expert who held important information about quantum computers. The plan was for the leader to hand the expert over to his employer and then blow up the plane with all its passengers. While the captain, computer expert, and other criminals were busy at the front, Zhang, still a mysterious figure, quietly began to take action. Using passengers' belongings, he assembled an emergency smoke bomb. Once he had gathered the materials, aluminum foil, ping-pong balls, and video game batteries, Zhang immediately assembled a smoke bomb. At the same time, a criminal in the throes of lust suddenly dragged a flight attendant into the rear cabin with the intention of raping her. Not one to sit still, Zhang, whose smoke bomb was ready, immediately moved quickly. He threw the perfectly functioning smoke bomb toward the rear cabin. Taking advantage of the thick smoke that caused confusion among the criminals, Zhang immediately launched his action to rescue the flight attendant. With deadly, well-trained movements, Zhang managed to kill the perverted criminal in the toilet. After that, he rushed to the cargo hold to look for weapons or other tools. Using his creativity, Zhang began dismantling suitcases in the cargo hold. Gathering materials such as magnesium powder, glasses, marbles, and various other objects, he assembled makeshift weapons in preparation for facing the criminals. The gang leader returned, and they sent the computer expert's fingerprints to his employer. Shortly thereafter, the employer called back and said they had the wrong person. Shocked, the leader checked the mole behind the bespectacled man's ear, which turned out to be nothing more than a marker scribble. Before the mistaken arrest issue was resolved, the crime boss was faced with a new problem. Two of his men reported that their colleague had been found dead in the toilet. He immediately met with the passengers and began questioning them one by one. His focus was on a female passenger wearing a hat and glasses, Yuli, to find out who had killed his men. Under threat of a knife, Yuli was forced to reveal the perpetrator's identity. Convinced that his subordinate's killer was below deck, the captain immediately ordered one of his men to go down and check the cargo hold. In the cargo hold, a fierce hand-to-hand battle ensued between Zhang and the henchman. Zhang was overwhelmed by exhaustion. However, he managed to kill the criminal in a very brutal manner. After that, he took the henchman's communication device and managed to speak directly with the leader. Based on the passenger list, Zhang's identity was finally revealed. He was a former Special Forces military trainer. This explained why Zhang was so skilled and efficient in taking out the two criminals earlier.
Zhang Zhiyong 先生，我知道你听得到。说。
The gang leader tried to recruit Zhang, inviting him to join his group. However, Zhang flatly refused the offer because he did not want to be involved in illegal money. Finally, the leader sent another henchman to confront Zhang in the cargo room.
You remember that guy? I know his face. Go find him.
子郎，你下去帮他。
Just as Zhang found the planted time bomb, another criminal suddenly appeared and immediately attacked. When the criminal was cornered, the chairman's assistant came to help. Zhang quickly hid to retrieve something he had prepared earlier, namely,
I need you, baby.
Zhang managed to kill the criminal and his assistant relatively easily. Meanwhile, upstairs, the criminal boss injected the bespectacled man with a special drug that induced honesty in order to find out the identity and location of the real computer expert.
不知不觉说出所有实话，醒了就忘了。
Shortly after the drug took effect, the man with glasses finally came clean and admitted that he was just a bodyguard assigned to replace the actual computer expert on the plane.
不是心梗的状态。
And it turned out that the person the boss had been looking for was the passenger who was unconscious and lying down. Not wanting to make another mistake, the boss immediately sent the person's fingerprints to his employer. Unbeknownst to the leader and his henchmen, the flight attendant was secretly hiding bullets and trying to give them to the police officer. However,
Who's that for? Is it for him?
However, the Westerner easily overpowered the police officer. Although he was pelted with shoes and eggs by the crowd, the Western man immediately pointed his gun at everyone. At that critical moment, Zhang arrived and managed to subdue him. Accompanied by the police officer, Zhang immediately ambushed the leader, who was still busy talking on the phone with his boss. During the operation, they found another bomb hidden in the toilet. Meanwhile, the police officer rushed to meet the pilot to ensure that the plane returned to its original flight path.
Mayday! Mayday! We are now continuing with our flight as planned. This is Sia Air 6511.
Similarly, Zhang was caught off guard by the chief's sudden attack. In the struggle, the chief, who was holding a pistol, accidentally fired a shot, causing the plane's window glass to shatter. Despite the extreme turbulence that triggered mass panic, Zhang and the chairman remained determined to continue their fierce battle, and just as the plane returned to normal, Zhang managed to overpower the leader and immobilize him. Learning from his previous mistake, Zhang immediately handcuffed the leader's hands together with rope to prevent him from causing any further trouble.
小朋友，吃点东西。
谢谢姐姐。
After the criminals were successfully subdued and the tension eased, Zhang was greeted with enthusiastic applause from all the passengers. The first people he saw were his child and his wife. That moment instantly took Zhang back to the tragedy of 6 years earlier, which was the root of the murder he had committed.
接个电话哈。喂，阿拓。
At that time, Zhang was on vacation with his wife and their 2 children, coinciding with a presidential candidate's campaign. Suddenly, a group of criminals arrived and created chaos by throwing a grenade. The grenade tragically exploded and killed Zhang's youngest daughter. This incident now clearly explains the motive behind Zhang's heinous murder.
当年，乐乐在医院里抢救了1天1夜，可是因为大脑受损。
What surprised Zhang was the fact that his daughter was still alive, although she was now in a coma and being treated at the hospital. His wife hoped that they could all return home safely so that they could be reunited as a complete family.
张先生，张先生。
After talking with his family, Zhang met with the police officer, who had just received information that there were 3 bombs in total. Since only 2 had been found, there was 1 bomb left whose location was unknown. Therefore, Zhang returned to the chairman to force him to reveal where the 3rd bomb was hidden.
谁？你老婆？我儿子。
Unexpectedly, Yuli, the girl in the hat, turned out to be a member of the boss's gang. As a result, Zhang once again had to face a fierce battle, not only against the boss, but also against the Western man and another henchman. Suddenly, Seeing his wife threatened with death, Zhang immediately stopped his attack and submitted to being beaten en masse. While displaying his wife's terrified face, the leader began recounting the incident from 6 years earlier, when he had been tasked with assassinating a presidential candidate. It was revealed that the group of criminals who had put his daughter into a coma was none other than the leader and his accomplices. The leader doesn't want to kill Zhang directly. He wants Zhang to suffer by letting Zhang, his family, and all the passengers blow up on this plane. It turns out the final bomb they've been searching for was hidden inside the body of one of the police officers who was killed earlier. That bomb is now strapped to Zhang's wife's body, ensuring she has no choice but to accompany Zhang in meeting his death.
今天飞机上的所有人都难逃一死。
Unbeknownst to the chairman and Yuli, the police officer was quietly watching the whole incident from behind the door. Not one to sit idly by, the police officer immediately rushed to the cockpit and asked the pilot to make an emergency turn. Just as the leader, Yuli, and the computer expert were about to jump from the plane with parachutes, the pilot immediately turned the plane as instructed so that not wanting to repeat his mistake, the police officer promptly shot Yuli dead. Meanwhile, Zhang relentlessly beat the leader until he was helpless. Seeing their chance, all the passengers joined in to beat him together. After all the villains had been truly defeated, the challenge now shifted to how to remove the bomb strapped to the wife's body. Based on his experience, a bomb of this kind could not be disarmed and could only be allowed to explode. With great humanity, Zhang and his wife made a drastic decision. They would jump out of the plane together to ensure the safety of their child and all the other passengers. A great sacrifice. Zhang and his wife exploded in midair, sacrificing themselves for the sake of their son and all the passengers. Upon arrival at their destination airport, all the passengers were overcome with sadness at Zhang's sacrifice. Suddenly, the son received a phone call. It was from his mother, who told him that she and Zhang were still alive and had landed safely on a beach. It turned out that when Zhang jumped out, he managed to remove the bomb from his wife's body, so the explosion did not affect them at all. Sometime after all the tension had ended, Zhang visited his daughter, who was still in a coma. Filled with tears and a sense of helplessness at not being able to wake her up, Zhang suddenly received a reward for his sacrifice. His daughter regained consciousness after 6 years in a coma. Finished. A truly surprising ending. Don't forget to watch the full version of the movie. The title is in the video description.